Those are doing yoga. Are you doing it after this class and before lunch?
Yeah, 10:30.
Okay. Clock is one more minute. The bell seemed to say it's 8 o'clock. So let's gather our minds here as we usually do, please. Bring your attention to your breath until you hear from me again. Now bring to mind that being who for you is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom. And see them there with you. They are gazing at you with their unconditional love for you, smiling at you with their holy great compassion. Their wisdom radiates from them, that beautiful golden glow encompassing you in its light. Feels so wonderful to be here with them. And then we hear them say, bring to mind someone you know who's hurting in some way. Feel how much you would like to be able to help them. Recognize how the worldly ways we try, they help, but fall short. The person goes on to have some other kind of distress. How wonderful it will be when we can also help them in some deep and ultimate way, a way through which they will go on to stop their distress forever. In our hearts, we know that's possible. We're learning how it's possible, why it's possible. And so I invite you to grow that wish to help into a longing. And that longing into an intention. Even a determination. Then turn your mind back to your precious holy being. We know that they know what we need to know, what we need to learn yet, what we need to do yet, to become one who can help this other in this deep and ultimate way. And so we ask them, please teach us that. Teach me that. Show me, guide me, push me. And they are so happy that we've asked. Of course, they agreed. Our gratitude arises. We want to offer them something exquisite. And so we think of the perfect world they are teaching us how to create. We imagine we can hold it in our hands. And we offer it to them, following it with our promise to practice what they teach us, using our refuge prayer to make our promise. Here is the great herb, filled with fragrant incense and covered with a blanket of flowers, the great mountain, 4 lands, wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Godam Ratnamantama, come near that I am. Go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may all beings reach their total awakening for the benefit of every single other. So let's read the Heart Sutra together again. I promise you I am not contagious. Have we got it?
You need more coffee.
I need more coffee. Oh dear. The Exalted One, the Lady of Conquest, the Sutra on the Heart of the Perfection of Wisdom. I bow first to all enlightened beings and to every warrior saint. Once I heard this teaching. The conqueror was staying on Vulture's Peak in the keep of the king. With him was a great gathering of monks and a great gathering of warrior saints. At a certain moment, the conqueror went into deep meditation on the part of the teachings known as the awareness of the profile. At that moment, too, did the realized being, the great warrior, the Lord of power, loving eyes, see into this one deep practice, the practice of the perfection of wisdom. It sees so perfectly that the five heaps, the five parts of a person, were empty of any nature of their own. Then, by the power of the enlightened one, the junior monk named Shariputra turned and asked this question of the great warrior, loving eyes, the realized one, the Lord of power. If any son or daughter of noble family hope to follow the deep practice of the perfection of wisdom, what would they have to do? This then is the answer that the Lord of power, the realized one, the great warrior, loving eyes, gave to the junior monk named Shariputra. Shariputra is what any son or daughter of noble family should seek, who hopes to follow the practice of the perfection of wisdom. Seek first all five heaps, all five parts of a person are free of any essence of their own. Your body is empty. Emptiness is your body. Emptiness is nothing but your body, and your body is nothing but emptiness. The same is true of your feelings, your ability to discriminate between things, the other factors that make you up, and all the different kinds of awareness that you possess. All of them are empty. And thus we can say, Shariputra, that every existing thing is emptiness. Nothing has any characteristic of its own. Nothing ever begins. Nothing ever ends. Nothing is ever impure. Nothing ever becomes pure. Nothing ever gets less, and nothing ever becomes more. And thus we can say, Shariputra, that with emptiness there is no body, there are no feelings, there is no ability to discriminate, there are none of the other factors that make you up, and there is no awareness. There are no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, nothing to see, nothing to hear, nothing to smell, nothing to taste, nothing to touch, and nothing to think of. There is no part of you that sees, there is no part of you that is aware of what you see. And this is true all the way to the part of you that thinks, and the part of you that is aware that you are thinking. There is no misunderstanding your world. There is no stopping this misunderstanding. And the same is true all the way up to your old age and death, and to stopping your old age and death. There is no suffering. There is no source of this suffering. There is no stopping this suffering. There is no path to stopping this suffering. There is no knowledge. There is nothing to reach. There is nothing not to reach. Thus it is, Shariputra, that warrior saints have nothing to reach. And because of this, they are able to practice the perfection of wisdom and stay in this perfection of wisdom. This frees them from every obstacle in their minds, and this frees them from all fears. They go beyond all wrong ways of thinking and reach to the ultimate end of nirvana. All the enlightened beings, the past, the present, and the future too, follow the same perfection of wisdom, and thus bring themselves to perfect enlightenment, to the matchless state of a totally enlightened Buddha. Thus are they the sacred words of the perfection of wisdom, the sacred words of great knowledge, sacred words of the unsurpassable, sacred words that are equal to the one beyond all equal, sacred words that put a final end to every form of pain, sacred words you should know are true, for false they cannot be, sacred words of the perfection of wisdom, which here I speak for you. Ayata Gate Gate Pada Gate Padasam Gate Bodhi Swaha. And thus it is Shari Putra, the great warrior saints must train themselves in the profound perfection of wisdom. With this, the conqueror stirred himself from his deep state of meditation. He turned to the great warrior, the realized one, loving eyes, the Lord of power, and blessed his words, saying, True, true, he said, and true again. Thus it is, O son of noble family, and thus is it. One should follow the profound perfection of wisdom, just as you have taught it. Every one of those taught thus rejoices in your words as I do. And when the conqueror had spoken thus, the junior monk Shariputra took joy, and the warrior, the realized one, loving eyes, the Lord of power, took joy as well. And all the assembled disciples took joy, and so did the entire world with its gods and its men and near gods and spirits too take joy. All sang their praises and what the conqueror has spoken.
We're on page 4, but that's my code.
All right, we're gonna do some sutra this morning, and we have reached
Shri Guru Ditana, Ditawena, Chu.
okay, on page 5. Middle of the page where in English it says, and thus we can say Shariputra, that every existing thing is emptiness. The Tibetan is above that. Sharipu de Tawana. Run.
Sharipu Ditawana, Chu Tamche, Tompani, De Sene Mepa, Ma Kiepa, Ma Gakpa, Drima Mepa, Drima Dong, Drowa Mepa, Driwa Mepa, Gong, Mepeo, Mepeo. So this means we've reached Tonglam. This is a point in the sutra that Buddha and Chenrezig had started to describe the path of seeing. So you get the feeling and the sense that in the past, in the words before, where he applied the 4 analyses, he applied the 4 profundities. The idea is to reach the 5 heaps. He made you think about what is emptiness and what is dependent origination. Now we are done with the thinking. Now he's getting to the direct perception of it. So as Geshe Michael says, it feels like he's starting to accelerate. Even the words start to come, it starts to get more intense. So Sharipu, Detawe, Na, therefore Sharipu, Chu Tamche Tompani De, all existing things are empty. De Sene Mepa, nothing has any characteristic of its own. Mepa means there are none. He starts to add Mepa to everything. There's no this, there's no that. And over the centuries, these lines have been misunderstood by generation after generation. Geshe Michael feels that 80% of each generation thinks it means the Buddha says nothing exists. So Choni Lama wants to make clear that we're talking about the general characteristic of something. The fact that I live, the fact I am impermanent, the fact I don't have any self-nature. Then my specific characteristics, which are with my humanity, that I am a human being, that I fit the definition of a human being. Those do not exist. That's obviously not true. We distinguish in Buddhism between the self which does exist and the self which does not exist. The self that does exist is the one that you're watching and the one I'm watching. So Joanna is there, she exists. Why? Because I can see her. I'm not drunk, I'm not high, I'm not crazy. I am having a valid perception, and I believe all of you are as well. She's there. How do I prove it? I see her. That's enough in Buddhism to confirm her existence. Obviously, we can say that that self does, we can't say that that self doesn't exist. So what did the Buddha mean when he said nothing has any feature? The main thing here is that to the meditator, to the deep state of meditation of a person who is in the direct perception of emptiness, we would not see Joanna sitting there. The main thing here is to the, I'm going to repeat that. The main thing is that the meditator in the deep state of meditation of a person who is in the direct perception of emptiness cannot see Joanna sitting there. There are no objects that appear to a mind except one thing, emptiness. They cannot perceive anything else. During that state of meditation, which lasts 15 to 20 minutes, you cannot perceive any object except emptiness. Jhana is a positive thing and emptiness is a negative thing. Emptiness is the lack of self-existence that all things have. If I took away all the things which I'm projecting and just stare at the fact that they're never were there by themselves, I'd be perceiving emptiness directly. And while I'm doing that, I cannot see this room or all of you, even if you could. Even if you could, they don't come from Joanna. If I like Joanna, I can pat myself on the back. If I don't like Joanna, I can pinch myself because there's only one person responsible for the things, all of these things, and that's me. That's a hard truth to live with. You can't blame anything on anyone in Buddhism except yourself. Every unpleasant object you ever encounter, traffic jam, headache, toothache, bad back, people you don't like, they're all a direct result of your own action. So in that sense, Seni Mepa, they don't have any feature from their own side. Whatever features they have are coming from your side. They're produced by your karma. So how does my karma work? It's like I do something bad and this boomerang floats out toward Pluto and comes back and makes me see something a year later. No, it's not external. You're back into the external mistake. You're back into number 2 in the meditation. It's your mind shifting. It's your last relationship that was so cruel at the beginning and broke down while your karma was shifting. That person didn't change. It was your own mind shifting. If you're tired of it, then stop collecting the karma that makes the shift, because you're the only person who can do it. If you get really good at this, there's no use to complain about other people. You're surrounded by incompetence if your mind helps produce them. You have produced them by lying or letting other people down or things like that. This is a common karma for producing the incompetence that surrounds you, and that's your life. As a side note, we have an election coming up in the United States. I happen to have a very strong feeling about who should win, and my lovely wife and I both catch ourselves starting to talk about how that person that we don't want could possibly exist and what an idiot, well, I shouldn't say that, how much we don't like that person. Then we stop and realize yet again that it's coming from us. So what do we have to do to not have that happen again? Can we affect this coming election? About all we can do is vote. But what we can do is not complain about others, not point out others' frailties or inconsistencies. And every time we do that, we have to think, we have to dedicate the fact that that's what's going to make our future world and not have these type of people in our life. But it's so easy to slip into the complaining mode in something like this, because How could I possibly have made that individual? I didn't behave that way in this life, but how about the recent past life? So it's insidious and you have to keep track of it and you have to break the habit. And that's turning out to be very hard for me to do. Because even though I don't talk about it, I think it, and karma is movement of the mind. So I gotta stop thinking. Okay, so you're up next, dear.
So that English was, and thus we can, wait. Right, as thus we can say that with emptiness. So what you were just saying is thus we can say, Shariputra, that every existing thing is emptiness. That's what you just talked about. Nothing has any characteristic of its own, nothing ever begins, nothing ever ends, nothing is ever impure, nothing ever becomes pure, nothing ever gets less, nothing ever becomes more, while you're sitting in the direct perception of emptiness. All of that's true. I mean, because as Sumati said, all we're experiencing is ultimate reality, the no self nature of all that stuff that is all that stuff. So then next, Charipu de Tawana, Tompani la Sukme, Sorome, Dusheme, Dujename, Nampashepame. And there's more. Next page. No, we'll go to that later.
Yeah.
Anybody recognize Suk, Sorwa, Dushe, Duje, Namparshepa? The 5 heaps. So what does the me do? Suk me? No heap, right? Sorwa me, no heap of feelings. No heap of discriminating between things. No heap of all the other factors that make me up. No heap of my awarenesses. You think Buddha's saying, look, really those things don't exist at all?
Not the way we think.
No, not the way we think. So we were learning, we're made up of form, feeling, discriminating between things, all the other factors, awareness. And we're getting this idea, okay, that all of that makes up this thing I call me. It's going on all the time. I'm learning better about, what I really am. And then Buddha says, not really. But he doesn't mean that. He means all of those things are what the ripening seeds are doing, because all of those things are what the planted seeds are planting. We're made up of those 4 awarenesses and then the physical stuff, which is actually an awareness also. And so every interaction between me and you has all of those 5 heaps going on, yours and mine, all coming from me. And so all planted with every interaction and all ripening as every interaction, every experience. And it's all going on all the time. And as we sink into the realization of there's nothing that exists in any other way than as my ripening projections, I get into that direct perception, then all of that form, feeling, etc., it is not appearing, it's not in appearance in those moments that I'm in the direct perception of their no self nature. Do they disappear in their existence? No. But when I'm directly experiencing their no self nature, they can't be there at the same time. They have to still be. This is what's so confusing, that they have to still be for them to be empty. Right? We had that before. You have to have an appearance for an emptiness, and you have to have an emptiness for an appearance. But when you're directly perceiving the emptiness, you can't at the same time perceive an appearance, because the appearance is the appearance, the positive side, and the emptiness is the absence, the negative side. The direct perception of emptiness is the being in the no self nature of technically oneself. But oneself is not limited to what we're thinking as self when we're out of the direct perception of emptiness, where it's like me and you. So when we're studying emptiness, we're studying the no self nature of the other. You know, we start with an inanimate thing because that's the easiest. And we expand that to the no self nature of an animate other, which is harder. And then we include our own self to start to explore the no self nature of myself. But when we sink or rise into that direct perception, after having directly experienced, oh man, really is seeds ripening, something outside of us. As we sink into that direct perception of emptiness, what we directly perceive the emptiness of is our own being. The direct perception of emptiness will be the direct perception of our own being first. We study the outside, but the experience will be our own emptiness, which will end up when we come out and realize is the no self nature of all existing things. So all these next phrases where it's like, no, none of this, not this, not this, not this. It's talking about the experience in the direct perception of emptiness where you cannot perceive any of those things that make up our appearing being, self and other experience moment to moment. So we need to mentally add that as we're reading or thinking of the sutra when it says no body, no feelings, no discrimination. We add understanding in the direct perception, there's none of that experience happening. Out of the direct perception, once we come out, we go back to experiencing things in the same old way. It must be frustrating as all get out. But you know you're seeing things wrongly. Now you know. Like the knowing of finally riding the bicycle, now you know. Coming out of the direct perception, now you know that you're misperceiving everything. You can't stop it.
You're doomed.
But you're doomed to burn off that misperception because you have it and you reject it. So you're not replanting your ignorance seeds the way we were before. So for the Arya just coming out of their direct perception of emptiness, you know, there's a period of time from coming out of the experience until they go to bed at night. They're in this exalted state of mind where they're having, you know, other realizations that altogether become out to be the 16 aspects of those 4 Arya truths. After that, like, I don't know why you'd ever go to bed, but you must. But after that, you're back to everything same old way. Now you know you're wrong about that. And now you know that you're burning off your ignorance seeds. And now you know that your behavior, moment by moment behavior, is your creation power, right? We've been learning that intellectually, but now you're really in it. And you turn your focus of attention to working on increasing your generosity, because that's where you make a world of prosperity for everybody. You work on increasing you're avoiding those 10 non-virtues, right? Your morality, avoiding harming, trying to be more and more kind, because that's how you create a world of perfect safety for everyone. You're working on your patience, you're not getting angry, because that's where we create a world of beauty for everyone. And you're working on having a fun time doing all that stuff, because it's not gonna be automatically pleasant. There's still gonna be crap happening, maybe even more, you know, because now you've really stirred the pot. And maybe you're even driven to run on that conveyor belt that you're now on towards your Buddhahood. And that brings up all kinds of ugliness, like maybe what we're seeing in the US and other places today, this divisiveness, this, you know, I want it my way and I want it my way. We can't come together and make it a better way than this or that. So this part of the sutra is focusing on what's not there in the direct perception of emptiness. And coming out of it, what we know then is still not there. So that what is there is the result of our own past behavior. Any pleasant thing is a result of past kindness. Any unpleasant thing is a result of past selfishness. It's really that simple. And, you know, if we look around us, most of what we experience is pleasant, isn't it? Really. I don't know about you, but my mind focuses on the unpleasant. It's like, oh, you know, I'm a little chilly. Oh, my body's a little tired. Oh, you know, I could see the air. When, you know, beautiful trees, beautiful place, amazing people. And it's just like, yeah, right, but I'd like to take a nap. Thank you very much. And it's just habit. And it's perpetuating a world where, you know, I hear other people, I don't feel good today. All coming from me. And yet the habit is we whine together, right? Instead of rejoicing together, right? And can we be the one who changes the subject? You know, me. Yeah, but, right? We all got here safely, you know, with a little bit of trouble, but we got here. There's so much goodness that we have created, right? It's not like random goodness, we made it. And learning this emptiness and dependent origination together makes our moment by moment experience. When we're getting it, then our positivity will grow. When we're not quite getting it yet, our negativity still festers inside there. So this sutra is helping us recognize what's not there, even as we're not yet sitting in its direct perception. And so we're trying to remind ourselves as we blame somebody for something pleasant or unpleasant, right? We blame the berry pie for the pleasantness. And that's the same as blaming, you know who, for the ugliness in the United States. The blame is the same. It's mistake. The real blame is, man, I was like that before. I was like a piece of berry pie for somebody before. Somehow pleasurable, be pleasurable for somebody else is what brings berry pie to me. It doesn't have to be berry pie to berry pie, right? Give somebody something that makes them smile. Be that way for somebody, and that makes more berry pie for me. Be critical, divisive, that makes more, you know who, for me. So it's all up to my interaction in the moment with you for me to make my future experiences. And same for you. What do you want to experience in the future? Be that for others now. Yeah, but I can't because I'm not that. But yeah, you can. A little bit better than before. It doesn't take being perfect. It just takes a little effort to not, you know, when we want to. And the first time we don't meet when we want to, it's hard. And the second time, it's not quite so hard. And the third time, it's not quite so hard. And pretty soon it gets easy to not eat. And then we train ourselves in saying something nice instead. Oh, I'm so sorry I upset you. Even though in my mind I'm going, it's all your fault. I'm so sorry I upset you. Is it true? Yes. How can I help? Do I really want to help? No. But I'm gonna say it to influence my own mind so that I can really mean it someday. You know, and my compassion will grow, and then I see anybody upset in any way, and my heart will go, how can I help? Will I dash in there and go, you know, you're making this, you're creating this? No. But my heart will say, oh, I'm so sorry, right? I'm so sorry that I'm seeing you're upset, and whatever upset you're seeing, you've made from your past behavior, but I'm seeing it, so it's my behavior that's making me see it. How can I help? Just how can I help? Not here, I need to do this for you to fix you, not that. How can I help? And maybe all we do is give them a hug or give them a smile or hold the door open for them. It doesn't take, you know, come take 18 courses with me and I'll teach you how to stop suffering. Just open the door for them, you know, give them a little uplift. Is all it takes to be changing our future. How long in the future? I don't know, maybe next week, maybe 3 lifetimes from now. Doesn't matter, really, does it?
The one thing you've got to catch yourself is when you say, I want to help, don't in your mind say, I don't really want to help. Catch yourself and don't do that, because otherwise
Right,
it's pointless.
you're delaying, right?
I mean, I can see the point Saranhi is trying to make, that we say it and we don't really believe it, but say it and believe it. That's what's gonna give you, that's wisdom. The other way is ignorant.
Right,
Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect at it myself, but I try really hard to catch myself and stop myself thinking that next thought, and it's getting easier. So I just share that.
I'm supposed to be doing Magakpa and I can't find it.
That's because we're doing the meditation. Here.
Magakpa.
Yeah, that's 8 of 20.
I know, but where is it on my,
Oh,
you're telling on your sheet. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
then sending Napa.
Things don't start and things don't stop. From their own side.
Maybe it's in the middle of page 5. Starting with Shari Food, get that way now.
Yeah, there it is. Thank you. Magakpa, okay, I'd skip that. So I'm gonna skip it. Because we already did, there's no body, there are no feelings, no ability to discriminate, none of the other factors that make you up, and no awareness. No 5 heaps while you're in the direct perception of emptiness, because you're directly perceiving their emptiness. They're no self-nature. So they're not at all. They're just not within your awareness when you're in the direct perception of their emptiness. Got it? What else are we not perceiving when we are in the direct perception of emptiness? I'm not taking yours, am I? May?
No,
I
I go into
see.
meditation.
No, okay. So we're supposed to do a meditation. Good, then we'll do a meditation instead. Before we go into what else we're not gonna see, let's explore what we don't see. So wiggle and shift, and we're gonna settle into going through our difference, the we've learned 3 steps, we're gonna add one. So we're gonna end up passing through the break at this time, and we'll take a break afterwards. Get comfortable in your seat. Give a little push down so that your seat, where your fanny on your seat, give it some heaviness. So you're solidly grounded. And then have a sense of your inner energetic body lifting. But you're tethered, so you're not going to lift off. Your physical form is tethered. Your energy form is rising. Bring your attention to your breath. With every exhale, the physical form relaxes. With every inhale, the mental form gets more alert, keen, interested, eager. Recall that person you want to be able to help. Feel your compassion for them. Their distress is so unnecessary. Very real, but a result of some big mistake. And to mind that precious holy being who's eager to teach you to become the one who can help that others stop their suffering forever. Think of one of this holy being's good qualities. One that inspires you. Tell them. Wow. You're so amazing in that way. I really want to become like you. See them smile and nod. And you want to make them an offering. So think of something kind you did this morning for someone. And tell that holy being. For me, it feels like being the kindergartner who plucks a dandelion and runs home, gives it to mom. And mom goes, oh, wow, this is the most beautiful flower. Feel their love for you. And then open your heart to them. Confess some ugliness that you're holding inside there. Tell them about it. Feel your regret for having it. Give it to them. Make a promise not to repeat it in some way that you can really do. And determine that doing this meditation is your antidote, so that when we finish, you are clean of that ugliness forever. As long as you don't repeat it. And then rejoice in some goodness. Tell them about some goodness you saw someone else do. Really, it's your goodness. Tell them about another kindness you did. And tell them some good thing about somebody you don't like. And ask that holy being to please stay close to you. Ask them continue to teach you in any form that that might show up in. Ask them to help keep all those people who inspire you to stay close, to live long. And dedicate this preliminary to becoming one who can help that other in that deep and ultimate way. And check in with your physical body, see if it needs to be adjusted. If it does, you may. If it doesn't, you don't need to. Settle back in, physical body, well tethered, energy body, rising. Bring your attention back to your breath. Now, open your eyes and look through this room. Find one or two objects. Focus on them clearly so you burn what they look like into your mind. And then look at one person. Kind of burn them into your mind as well. And then close your eyes again. So the first step in this meditation is to pretend you're the small child and you're looking at those objects in your mind's eye now, but without any story about them, without any actual identity. Just experience an object. I have a sense of curiosity, but not really engaging, just experience. And step two, your grown-up experience of that object, ordinary experience of the object. And at this level, get in touch with your belief that the object's identity is in it, coming at you, its qualities, in it showing itself to you. Recognize its pleasance or unpleasance. Your belief that it's in it. Which means whether you like it or don't like it is coming from it. Convince yourself that that's true. Explain why it must be true. Now add the third step. Ask yourself, does everybody see this object the same way I do? If they don't, what does that say about the identity and qualities of the object? Can it be coming from it at you? If your experience of it is unique to you? So feel yourself putting the identity on the object. This is step 3. Pretend you can experience your mind making the object's identity, making the object's qualities. Go back to step 2. No, it's got to be in it from it. back to step 3. No, it's unique to me. If it's unique to me, does that mean it doesn't really exist? No. That's what makes it exist. Go back to step 1. No identity at all, just colors and shapes. You the tiny little kid. From there, go to step 3. Let your seeds ripen into the object. Go back to step 1, just color shift. Then go to step 2, object in it, from it. If it were true that the object's identity is in it, from it, how could you ever just see it as the child, only colors and shape? You couldn't. The month-old infant would know it in the same way you do now. That's absurd. See it number 3 way. Your seed's ripening. Look away from it. You believe it's still there with its own identity? Look back to it. Oh, there it is again. In it, from it? Or your seed's ripening again? Is it the same? Or is it different? Let's add step 4. To do step 4, you go back to step 2, the object with its identity in it, from it. And you apply your growing wisdom to reject that state of mind, that belief the object has its own identity. Look for the object with its own identity. What do you come up with? No such object. We get confused. Go back to the object. Seems like it has its identity qualities in it coming at me. But that's impossible. Pull it away. What's there? Shift to a different object. Seems like its quality's identity in it. But can't be. Show yourself anything in this room that is coming from it. There's none. It's so hard to hold. Go back to your original object. Is its identity in it from it? No. The one that's there. Our own seeds ripening. The one that's not there. It coming from it. Shift your mind to one person. Just their color, shape. Then their identity and qualities in them coming at you. That's how you know them. Step 3. Does everybody know them in the same way I know them? No, of course not. Experience them as your seeds ripening. That's what makes them real for you. They have their own seeds ripening. That's what makes them real for them. Show yourself that person who's not your seeds ripening. That's their emptiness. Show yourself the one who is your seeds ripening. That's their dependent origination. If they are kind to you, if they're someone you like, that's their dependent origination also. A reflection of your own past kindness. So we can create a world of kind beings by being kind to others. We can create a world of no suffering. Of ultimate happiness for everyone. So turn your mind back to your precious holy being. See how happy they are with you with your effort. Thank them. And dedicate what we've done to helping that one person reach the place where they can be free of all their distress forever. And may it be so. So when you're ready, open your eyes and look at that object. And just really quickly go through the same idea. It looks like it's in it from it. I know it can't be. All right, let's take a break and then we'll go back to Sutra. When
Okay. What page is that for them?
Six.
So go to the top of your page 6, please. Should be Sherry Poo, Tawa, and Dope.
No. Oh,
So. You get that?
the top of page 6.
Oh. Okay, well, we'll start with McMahon. No, May. What he's gonna do now is go through the 12, what are called the 12 gateways. It's like if you've ever been up close to a forest fire, first it catches on 1 or 2 trees, and it starts to jump from tree to tree, and finally it's just like a wave moving through the tops of the trees. So what we're doing now is we're going through all 12 of the senses very quickly. So Mikme, no eyes; Nawame, no ears; Name, no nose; Chame, no tongue. How does he do that? He says it starts with, to remember it, you start with the, do that.
Eyes. Oh, right. You start up and you go down. Eyes, ears, nose,
Right.
tongue, body, mind.
So that's the way to remember it easily, is just go down.
No. No.
Okay. no tongue, Che Mei, no tongue, Lu Mei, no body, Yi Mei, no mind, Suk Mei, nothing to see, Dra Mei, nothing to hear, Dri Mei, nothing to smell, Ro Mei, nothing to taste, Richa Mei, nothing to touch, and Che Mei Do, nothing to think of. All 12 of these are non-existence, Lord Buddha is saying through Chenrezig. And again, that's not meaning not existent at all. They're not self-existent. So Lord Buddha left out the word their own nature. And the logic here is he says, everybody knows what I'm talking about, so let's shorten it. And if you think about it, if everywhere in the Heart Sutra it said that they don't exist, they don't have their own nature, it would be much longer. So this has caused a lot of trouble over the last 20 centuries because people misread it and think that Lord Buddha is saying yet again, oh, nothing exists. Of course, he didn't mean that. During the direct perception of emptiness, you cannot discriminate between yourself and the emptiness you're perceiving. Can't see anything else for that 20 minutes. So this is again what we're talking about at that point. The fact that in general they don't have any nature of their own. The fact that when you do the Kendrick analysis of number 4, you never find anything. You go looking for the self-existent flower on the altar, you can spend all day, but you're not going to find it. When you try to find the sense data itself, you're hoping that was real. You were hoping at least that that was there, but we haven't discussed that yet. Your karma is making you interpret the flowers as colorful and beautiful. But Mr. Karma is also making you see the green and the white. Lord Buddha said it all boils down to the same thing. The fact that data is not there either. The fact that the flower is not there either. The fact that when you're perceiving emptiness directly, the object and the subject seem to be mixed like water into water. The fact that nothing has any nature of its own. It's all the same thing. A very important reason Lord Buddha doesn't repeat, they have no self-existence. And the reason why he gets a little lazy and says they don't exist is that he knows that we'll be smart enough to say through their own nature or from their own side. Can you engage in any weird behavior you want? Because who cares if it doesn't exist? He relates the story of a student who was at a Buddhist conference and they were checking out and a lady next to her drops her bag too hard and it pops open and all the hotel's towels fall out. And she asked her, did you steal those hotel towels at a Buddhist conference? And the lady said, yes, it doesn't matter because everything's empty. So that's a trap people fall into. Yes, that's the meditation we are doing. Bunch of healthy teachers.
So sorry, audio.
Why don't you pick up at 4? 4.
Okay. So that section was the English of there are no eyes, no ears, went through that. No part of you that sees. No part of you that is aware of what you see. All the way up to the part of you that thinks and the part of you that is aware that you are thinking. So that's what makes up those 12 doors of sense. That the the object and the awareness of the object. So then next, the Tibetan way at the bottom of page 6, Marikva me. See where I am?
Yeah,
Marikva sepa me bane. Gashe me. Gashe sepe bardu young me do. 7. The English is there is no misunderstanding your world. There's no stopping this misunderstanding. Misunderstanding is the marikva. The same is true all the way up to your old age and your death and just stopping your old age and death. So the English is confusing, isn't it? Because it's contradictory. Like, is there misunderstanding or is there not misunderstanding? And if there's not really misunderstanding, then what is there to stop? If there is really misunderstanding, then of course we want to stop it. But if that misunderstanding has some nature of its own, if it's not simply something that I've imprinted in my mind, and so simply is something that's coming out as a projection, if it's not that, can I change it? If misunderstanding my world is some thing in and of itself that I'm experiencing about myself, that's not got a cause based on my behavior, then how could I ever change it? You couldn't. We'd be stuck with our misunderstanding forever. Our misunderstanding is that piece of buried pie is the source of my happiness. So I want it, I deserve it, I'm gonna take it. And that's misunderstanding. Understanding is, oh, berry pie is pleasant, I like berry pie. Only because there's some way in which I brought some pleasure to somebody else in the future. I really do want the berry pie. But I want berry pie in the future as well. I mean, I want pleasure in the future. So, ultimately, your pleasure from the berry pie would actually come from, would you like this piece of berry pie? Like
Sure.
the pleasure of the berry pie would be that.
I'll take
I
two
wouldn't
pieces.
even have to eat it. Wouldn't that be cool?
Just
you
give
know?
me the pie. Thank you. But where'd the pie come from to begin with?
Originally. Right,
So as you're eating the pie, you remember where it came from, and you remember that because it's where it came from, that's how you're gonna get it in the future. So I
But-
would,
it's like you won't even want it for yourself in the future. Geshe Michael uses the churro example, right? Donuts. Maple donuts. And he tells one story. He says, you go into the donut store, there's one maple covered donut left. There's, some old couple slowly going up to the counter, and you overhear the husband say, oh, honey, your favorite donut, there's one left. I want to get it for you. And you go in going, whoa, I want that maple covered donut, And you hear that and you go, oh man, I've got to get it. I need to get to the counter before they do to get that maple covered donut. That's ignorance at work. Wisdom at work. So one level, wisdom is, okay, I'll back up and let them have it. Another level of wisdom is, I'm gonna rush to the counter and I'm gonna buy it for her. Right? You don't get any maple covered donut. But what does she do? Wow, thank you so much. And doesn't that make you happier than eating the maple covered donut? Really?
what you could do is ask the baker if there's any more maple covered donuts.
And maybe your karma would shift in that moment, right? Yeah, I have a whole tray of warm ones. Oh, that's how it works. Right?
So the point being that you see there's something, the last one, how can you make that last one become many before she even gets there?
Right. Right. Okay, why did we go off on that?
Because it's.
Because misunderstanding versus not misunderstanding, right? If our misunderstanding was somehow inherent in us, we would never be able to make this choice to buy the maple donut for the lady. Because we would be inherently driven to get that maple colored donut, covered donut for myself by our ignorance. But we all make choices all the time about our behavior. So our, right, our choice-making capacity can't be inherent. It also, like, we make different choices. And the very ability to make different choices tells us that there's no, that kind of choice-making behavior inherent in us. It must have some changeableness factor in it that allows us to behave this way this time and that way in a similar situation the next time. That tells us that we have this changeability that allows us to choose different reactions. Now, what's our criteria for choosing different reactions when we're still driven by our misunderstanding? Our criteria is what's going to get me what I want. And so we try these different things to get me what I want, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't, which that alone tells us that what we do in the moment does not actually bring us what we're trying to get in the next moment. Our misunderstanding believes that what I do now brings what comes next. But it doesn't. What I do now plants a seed that's going to bring me something in the future. What I get in the next moment from what I just did is a ripening result of something I did before. How long before? I don't know. So it's really difficult to like be in this space, as we said before. It's like I put my hand on the doorknob, and of course I expected to open the door, and most of the time it does. But doing this with the handle is not really what opens the door. Like, wouldn't you, like, how can you go through life not really knowing, if when I put my foot on the ground, is there really going to be a ground to be there? We were doing this in our Book Jimpo course with Lama Christie, and working really hard on a Nagarjuna verse about things as true natures. And I was walking down the hill, it was this gravel road, and I was working really hard with this idea. And just as I was catching on to the idea that there's no road there that my foot comes down onto until my karmic seeds ripen, it's like getting a hold of it, my foot came down and my ankle twisted and I fell. And I just started laughing because it was like, oh my gosh, I just showed myself the truth of walking, you never walk. There's this whole chapter on, are you ever walking when you're walking, and can you ever get there? And anyway, it's like, down I went, and my ankle hurt so bad, but I was just laying there in the road laughing. Like, yeah, right, Nagarjuna, thank you for that one. It was so funny. Why did I go there?
Well, maybe
So
because
it's-
discuss the how and the why.
Yeah, go for the how and the why.
So we are constantly faced with, like, you turn the key to start the car and it starts, and you think it's because you turn the key. It is and it isn't. Turning the key is what connected the battery to start the engine. But to have an engine to start and to have the transportation is coming from a seed planted way before. So there's the how and the why. The how the car starts is connecting the battery, the energy from the battery to the turning over cylinders. The why is because you helped someone in the past. So when you start your car, when you're walking down the road, any of those kind of things, I recommend you start really thinking about the how and the why as often as you can. The way aspirin, well, the way the medication works to take away the headache, there's a how and a why for that. The how is the chemistry. The why is because she helped someone in the past. So when we talk about empowering a drug or something like that, we're talking about realizing that the reason it's working is because of something you did in the past. The way it's working is the chemistry. And how does the chemistry work? Well, because in the past you helped someone get what they needed. So there's many layers that keep getting more and more subtle. But it's all, to me, it's all connected with the how and the why.
Right. The why is karma ripening. Karma ripens the how. The key turns the card. Opens the door. So,
Without the one, you don't have the other.
right, without the karma, you don't have the other. There is no how if you don't have the why. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. So this verse, Marikpa me ching, Marikpa sepa mepa ne kashe me. Ching is this, no misunderstanding our world, no stopping this misunderstanding. Same is true all the way up to your old age and death, and stopping our old age and death. It's talking about the dependent origination, the 12 links of the wheel of life. That is this explanation of how, because of our misunderstanding, we plant seeds, and because of those seeds, we end up being forced into a rebirth where our sense objects engage with an outer world, it seems, and that engagement with the outer world triggers desire, and desire triggers craving, and craving triggers action, and action triggers old age, death, and illness, death, and rebirth. Lord Maitreya, when he was teaching Arya Asanga, a long story about that, he shortened that 12 links into a 6 steps. And the 6 steps is this explanation of this domino effect that's happening with every seed ripening and every seed planting. So it's a really helpful sequence. We were talking about, do the 5 heaps happen sequentially, or are they happening simultaneously? And it's kind of like both. This is a similar thing, these 6 steps of that Lord Maitreya taught Arya Asanga. And so we get to go through them. We've got time to do it. This comes to us from a teaching called Gyu Lama, in Sanskrit, Uttara Tantra, which is not a secret teaching. It means the higher line. And included in that Uttara Tantra, which Sumati's teaching now, right, to your
These are the South African
South
students.
Africa students.
If you want to get in on it, it's, well, come and talk to me.
Right. So there are these 6 causal steps in creating karma, these 6 steps. And they go like this. We're born with the mental seeds from previous lifetimes of misunderstanding. So all our previous lifetimes, especially the immediate last one, every perception that we had believed that the 3, the subject side, the object side, and the interaction between all had their own identities in them. And so we reacted in the same old selfish ways that we always had. When this lifetime ends, the mind that goes on is made up of these seeds that are colored with that misunderstanding, that ignorance. And because of that ignorance, we have this, the mind has this impulse of wanting more me, more self-existent me. And that pushes it into a next ignorant rebirth. And that next ignorant rebirth mind still has those seeds colored with ignorance in it. They're called bakchaks. So Lord Maitreya says, you're born already full of these seeds of misunderstanding, right? The seeds from previous life of ignorance. Just at this first step is we're just born with these seeds. Like in this fraction of an instant, nothing has happened yet. Those seeds ripen into these two kinds of ignorance. The ignorance of self-existent me, self-existent other. And with that, then ripens that pleasant or unpleasant in it from it. Step 3. So we're born with the seeds of misunderstanding. Those seeds ripen into me from my own side, other from their own side. That ripens into like, dislike, it from it. That ripens into I want or I don't want. Separate step. That ripens into collecting karma. So just the I like, I want, I don't like, I don't want has already planted karma. Then we act to get or to avoid. And that plants more karma. And those karmas, the mental and what it motivates, perpetuate the process because they are also colored with that ignorance. And so the ignorance adds to the previous ignorance. And it keeps pushing more ignorance. And we go around the cycle. And every moment, misunderstanding, believing that the identity and quality is in it, from it. And so if I like it, I want it. If I don't like it, I want to push it away. Is there anything wrong with wanting pleasant things and pushing away unpleasant things? No. But where does the ignorance come in wanting pleasant things? Thinking I can get it and give it to me, and the pleasure I get is from that action. It's like, yeah, but I wouldn't have the pleasure of drinking the green tea if I don't drink it. Would I? Could I?
Yes.
Could I have pleasure of drinking green tea without ever drinking green tea?
On some level.
On some level, right? Technically, yes. No? Would you as a Buddha, sit there and never do anything because you're just all pleasured out by what everybody else is experiencing? I don't know, maybe yes. Maybe that's what it is to be in a Buddha paradise. Just everybody else's pleasure is yours. And it's like, you don't have to do anything. Like you're at the picnic, the Dharma picnic all the time. And you never have to do anything, but although they say all Buddhas do in their Buddha paradise is share the Mahayana Dharma. And it's like having this big Mahayana Dharma party with other Buddhas. I don't know. You gotta kind of imagine what it's like. I remember the time. I think it would be like that. Remember that time we were all at what is it? I can't remember that Francisco Palau. Remember doing the heart, pretending to do the Heart Sutra together. That was so fun. I had this big mental affliction, wasn't really, I was just pretending. We're just having fun. Okay, so what's the bottom line in Lord Buddha's 6 steps? Where do we cut it? You can't choose not to be reborn with your seeds full of ignorance. If we could, we all would, right?
Seeing something that's not the having like and dislike. Seeing something that's not coming from us.
Yeah. The point at which it comes up and we believe it to be self-existent, that's where before we've seen emptiness directly, we can work on cutting it. Seems self-existent intellectually, I know that can't be. So I'm gonna refuse to react the way my ignorance says I should react, and I'm gonna choose a different response. Right, when we respond instead of react, we are planting seeds with greater wisdom. Even if we still do it with our ignorance, we're trying to bring up our wisdom and we're trying to act in a different way. So it's like, I like to think of when we're on automatic ignorant reaction mode, we want to shift to being on respawn mode instead. So you kind of shift your mindset from harvester to planter. And we want to be the farmers who are planting seeds as opposed to the farmer who's harvesting seeds. You plant the seed and you walk on. Like in the US, we had that story of Johnny Appleseed, you know, and he planted apple seeds all over the place in the Appalachians and then just walked away. And some of those seeds grew into apple trees, and there's wild apple trees, you know, all over because of this guy, Johnny Appleseed, just plant and walk away. And it's not really human nature because we're so driven by the result. We want the result. We're trained, right, to create results. Whereas this practice is saying, train yourself to plant seeds. And then the seeds, you plant lovely seeds. It doesn't really matter when they ripen or how they ripen, they'll be great. And eventually you've planted so many kindness seeds. You're still planting kindness seeds, but you just perpetuate your kindness seeds.
Yes,
And you're walking through this beautiful garden of life.
I would disagree. It's not that you don't harvest. You harvest the seeds and realize where they came from and replant them.
Yeah, yeah. You are harvesting constantly, so you're right. All right.
Wheel of life.
So let's stop there for this class. We have 10 minutes, we can do questions. And then we'll pick up at 18 and 8 of 16. And then after meditation for next. So Roxana,
So, it is the mind that perceives objects and can perceive also their emptiness. But during the direct perception of emptiness, there is an appearance there. It is the mind, it's not being perceived, but it is the mind that is perceiving its own emptiness. It cannot perceive itself ever, but it can perceive its own emptiness.
so the question is, in the direct perception of emptiness, is the mind perceiving its own emptiness if the mind can't perceive itself? Is that right? I get it right? So. Yes, let me out here. Yes. It is. To perceive anything is mind functioning. And when we are in the direct perception of, when we are in the direct experience of ultimate reality, there, while we're in it, there's only the absence of self nature happening. You actually are not, you don't know it. until you come out of it. So while you're in it, I don't know, they say it's like water poured into water. There's really nothing you can say that will describe it. Because any way of describing it is implying that there's a presence happening.
Well, part of the problem is we say seeing emptiness directly,
Yeah,
and you're experiencing emptiness,
right.
which isn't the same as seeing it. And we think seeing it, but you're actually experiencing it.
Yeah,
And you can
I was also
experience that.
confused by the word perception, because
Right.
who's perceiving?
right,
Yeah.
exactly. It's really is a difficult concept. I don't know, does that address it enough?
Yes, that is that the way that shamatha is experienced, the fact that there is only one object that you perceive, there is no me, there is no, usually it was explained as if you're watching a movie, you're just watching that particular object, you're not aware of yourself, you're not aware of your breath, nothing else but that object. Is that what is going
In
on?
shamatha?
Yes.
Okay, so shamatha and direct perception of emptiness are completely different things.
Okay,
The level of concentration called shamatha is the level of concentration necessary to reach the level of concentration called you know the one I mean,
it's the first level of.
first level of the form realm, first causal level of the form realm, because you're not actually in the form realm. But you're in the concentration that would cause the form realm if one of those seeds ripens at your death. So that level of concentration is also not the direct perception of emptiness, but it's the level of concentration which, if you're there when you turn your mind to looking for the self nature of the object, you can penetrate to the vipassana, the insight, and reach the direct perception of emptiness. It doesn't automatically happen by reaching that level. You have to trigger it. So back to shamatha. Shamatha is when you have single pointed concentration that's so easily attained and maintained that there is both the physical pleasure of that level of concentration and the mental pleasure of that level of concentration. Those two pleasures allows your mind to stay put on its object sufficiently that it can penetrate to that level where all the sensory perceptions are shut down. Even the random thoughts. You can still direct your intellect in shamatha. You can still direct your intellect in the michokme level. And because you have to direct your intellect to the no self nature of your object in order to slip into that direct perception of vipassana. So shamatha is a platform of concentration.
We have a question online. If a good seed has already ripened, should we plant the seed again and again or do more meditation?
Yes.
Well, that's a yummy deal.
The answer is yes.
The answer is yes. Both. So yes, when an experience is had, those 65 per moment seeds are done and gone. Whether they're unpleasant ones or pleasant ones or theoretically neutral ones, they're done and gone. But in the process of experiencing them, we are replanting new ones. So pleasant seeds ripen, replant them,
But you have to consciously replant them
consciously replant them, intentionally, yeah.
with wisdom.
Mhm. And we're able to do that better and better with a regular meditation practice, because our meditation practice helps us grow our mindfulness, our awareness. It takes a high level of awareness in the moment by moment living to be able to catch my reaction and change it to a response. Because otherwise reaction's done by the time we go, oh, I didn't want to do that. Mindfulness slows us down.
Gabby's,
Yeah, Gabby.
Question from Russian speaking group. The question is, during the meditation, we have an object, which is we use for the meditation. The person is asking, for example, I am a 6 years old boy looking to the statue, and I see just a statue. Then when I'm 35, I realized it's a Buddha statue. What happens? Why, if I already have seeds, knowing that that's the Buddha statue and they open at 35 years old, why I didn't understand that at 6? What is going on?
So the question is, we're looking at our object, and when I was 6 years old, I saw the statue and just knew it was a statue. But when I'm 30 years old, I see the statue and I know it's a Buddhist statue. How come I didn't know it was a Buddha statue when I was 6 years old if I already had the seeds for it? You didn't have the seeds for it ripening when you were 6 years old. You didn't have those seeds ripening until you were 30 years old for whatever reason. You had seeds ripening at 6 years old to see a statue. Because maybe when you were 2 years old, you'd look at that thing and you wouldn't even know it was a statue. Seeds ripening are happening constantly. That's what we are.
It means that person somehow grow the experience to be when they understand it's a statue of Buddha and then understand what the emptiness.
Had to be, right? Hopefully, they also have the seeds to understand emptiness. Natty,
I have a good.
Natty,
Okay, thank you. So when, in the sutra, whenever they say there is no part of you that sees, or there is no misunderstanding, this is all from the point of view when you see emptiness directly.
so she asked in the sutra, when it says no body, no mind, no misunderstanding, is it all only talking about when you're in the direct perception of emptiness? When we were talking about the 12 gateways, that's specific to when we were in the direct perception of emptiness. There's none of those things appearing to us. They still exist, but they're not appearing to us at that time. The commentary says when we get to the no misunderstanding our world, that's now talking about dependent origination. When you're in the direct perception of emptiness, you are not aware of dependent origination either, because that's the explanation of the appearing things. So that phrase is starting us into our path of habituation. You could make the case that because it says no misunderstanding, no stopping the misunderstanding, it is true that those things are not appearing to our mind in the direct perception of emptiness. But that teaching applies to this links of how we are creating what we are experiencing. So it's our realization of how dependent origination is working, that we have coming out of the direct perception of emptiness, which now is correct, right? So we're understanding these 6 steps of Lord Maitreya, the 12 links of dependent origination, and we're still thinking of them in some self-existent way. So we don't understand them accurately until after the direct perception of emptiness. Do we understand them well enough to use them? Absolutely. But to understand them accurately happens after we come out of the direct perception of emptiness, which means the whole 12 links is nothing but karma ripening, right? It has to be. It doesn't have its own nature. No Buddha said life's going to work like this, right? Life's going to have 4 laws of karma. That's not what these are all about. They are all explanations for existence as we experience it, which is things go wrong all the time. How come? Here's why. Good question. All right, Lisa,
Regarding choices,
yes,
my question is regarding choices,
Uh-huh.
so we say yesterday, the day before, we have been planting seeds forever, right? So we don't have choice, meaning whatever I am choosing is already given by my past seeds. Because like I don't have really control of
So there's
what
no
to
free
choose.
will.
wrong conclusion, right logic, wrong conclusion.
You have,
See,
the-
so we have to repeat the question, which I'm not sure I can. So. You want to repeat the
go
question?
ahead.
Louisa asked. If all my experiences are karma seeds ripening, then even my choices that I make are forced on me by my karmic seeds ripening, so it's all predetermined by my karmic seeds ripening, and I don't really have choice. Is that correct? Have you ever given someone a opportunity to make a choice?
You have the karma for free will. That's what it comes down to.
Wow.
And because you have the karma for free will, you have the ability to make choices. And you can choose to act ignorantly or with wisdom. You look skeptical.
Karma is not predetermined. Karma is not fate, right? That is other traditions teaching on what karma is, already predetermined.
Yeah, I know
It's
the
not.
punchline, but I am trying to.
Yeah, work it out,
To explain it logically, yeah, like,
right?
I understand. We can choose and choose to get out of the suffering. But again, if my seeds, like it could happen, if I was depending on seeds, that I don't have choice. Because.
It could happen if you don't give
It's
anybody
happened
choice.
to many people.
It happens to many people.
Anybody who's in prison, anybody who's been persecuted, they've lost the ability to be free, to have free will. It doesn't mean they can't have it again. It means their karma is ripened for them to have given, to not have it for some reason, because they took it from someone in the past. So the question I fight all the time is, so when did this all start?
Yeah. Beginnings.
Beginningless time, endless time? That's an insufficient answer to me.
Yeah, we're thinking of karma as somehow self-existent when we meet the struggle that you're at. Right?
Yeah.
You know, I've been there. And so you keep chewing on it, keep chewing on it, keep chewing on it. There's really nothing I can say that will make you go, oh, I get it. You've got to keep working on it.
But it will mean also that we can change the rules of karma. I mean, because they are not self-existent, then we could change them.
They aren't a thing to change. They are an explanation of existence.
Exactly, but they are explaining an existence that is created by seeds.
Exactly.
So if I can change those seeds, and then the explanation must change, because then the rules of karma will change as a consequence.
Now you keep investigating it, and you'll come to see why that logic is mistaken. The conclusion is mistaken. Keep investigating it. Really, really, I'm serious. Mhm.
No, that, I remember that exactly the same question that Geshe-la, someone asked him the last retreat of Medicine Buddha. And he didn't answer, he just explained, and I guess that's why he didn't answer, because it was formulated with this self-existence of karma. And I've understood that it happens a lot to me, you know, when I ask a teacher, seeing things, miss about the self-existently, they don't answer. I mean, they go around.
Right.
For you to cook it, and I keep insisting that I said, yeah, it's my mind that is not.
Right.
Yeah. And the other thing that probably is the same, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
perceiving it's self-existent, but when yesterday you use, or maybe I misunderstood the explanation, you use for the raw data, the word information. We label the information. And again, my mind stuck there and said, but that's something, information is something, a pre-existent thing. So there is raw data. So, and I get stuck there. Maybe it's the same thing, no?
Yes.
I've
wanna
asked
talk
Yeshua
about that?
about the raw data and he just looks at me.
Say it again, sorry.
The raw data, I fight the battle of the raw data. Where did the raw data? He says colors and shapes. You look around and see colors and shapes. Where did the colors and shapes come from? And if you go looking for them, you can't find them. So that's the emptiness of that, but that doesn't tell me projecting on a blank screen. The screen's there. Did the screen come? Was the screen always been there and I'm projecting onto a self-existent screen? Well, I can't do that.
Right.
So how does that work?
When you're looking for the identity of the screen, you find something more subtle that's receiving the label "oh screen." Well, then let's go looking for that, whatever that is, more subtle, the left side and the right side. Let's look for that. Oh, I find a left side of that and a right side of that getting my label. Well, wait, let's find the raw data for that. Oh, let's go down. You never don't find something that's getting a label.
And then in atomic physics, they keep thinking they found the elementary particle. And they all rejoice and get Nobel Prizes until some bright student goes, guess what? Your elementary particle has 2 sides, or 4 sides, or 6 sides.
But we're thinking we're gonna land in emptiness. But that's not it. When we go through this process of going, looking for the label, looking for the thing that gets the label and can't find it, our mind finally goes, oh, nothing exists in any other way than that. And that's emptiness, not go down, go down, go down, find emptiness. It doesn't work like that. You go down, label, and finally we go, oh, right, that's dependent origination, happening. And then you go, wow, nothing's ever existed in any other way than that. That's how we use that to get to emptiness. We don't use it to get to an emptiness. Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
Our mind finally goes, this is never gonna stop, right? I gotta quit somewhere. So let's just back it all up and quit at the level of the flower base. You don't have to go down, go down, go down.
And the same with beginningless time and endless
And
time.
same with that. Same with where did the first karma come from? Where did my first mind come from?
And you see the absurdity of the Big Bang Theory. I always get a kick out of the fact they had this conference with His Holiness, and I watched the summary of it where the physicists were talking about cosmology and the Big Bang, and His Holiness, they're saying, yeah, Buddhism's got it all wrong. And His Holiness just has this very coy smile on his face, like, listen to you guys. In another 20 years, it's going to be like you were the flat earth people.
Anything else?
So, Luisa said, it's, for me, it's the other way, but it's not exactly a question, but I'm just sharing. So for me, it's like immanent that we are all getting to the, our way of evolving is to get to Buddhahood. And then sometimes, not just sometimes, but it's some people may think, oh, I didn't do anything, but we're gonna get there anyway.
Right, I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just relax and have fun.
You want to speed up getting there, or do you want to slow it down?
By
You want
having
to slow it down, just say, well, it's going to happen. I'll just hang out until it does. Or you can go, I want it to happen tomorrow or yesterday. How do I do it?
you know, you could also say everybody else is gonna get enlightened and then they'll take me, so I'll just wait. But meanwhile, right, you get a migraine every 2 weeks and you, right, you get into a car crash and right? So how long, how much do you wanna suffer before you? While you're waiting to become enlightened? Yeah, that's up to you. You're just burning it off. So bring it on. I didn't mean that. But that would be one method. That's the method Lord Buddha found didn't work, right? When Shakyamuni renounced his life and went to practice with the ascetics, and, you know, in the movie, there, some guy's hanging from his feet from a tree for 20 years, and the other one's standing on one foot, and he's got trees growing out of his hands. You know, it's like all that asceticism is the unpleasantness. You're using the unpleasantness to burn off your mistaken world, and it's like, it doesn't work to just wait to burn off all your unpleasantness if you're not understanding where it's all coming from. And when you're understanding where it's all coming from, you don't need to stand on one foot until trees grow in your hands, but you just need to live life. There's enough suffering in life that you have plenty of, what do you call it, grist for the mill,
Yeah,
that you don't need to induce any kind of pain. And then in fact, we have vows not to do that. Yes, Roxana?
That in the story of Lord Milarepa and Lord Marpa, there was a particular stage in the beginning where he goes through many challenges from Master Marpa for him to burn off all the obstacles so
Yes.
he could then get the teachings.
Yeah,
So there is a point to clearing off obstacles before you can actually.
yeah. In your relationship, it was pointed out with Lord Marpa and Milarepa. Marpa seemed to have tortured Milarepa for a long time before Milarepa was ready to receive the teachings. And so that kind of discounts what I just said. When we're in the relationship with a holy teacher and we have surrendered to them with this, you know, saying, get me enlightened as quickly as possible, we have given them carte blanche to do what we need to do, to do what we need, and to speed up the process. So it is true that it's beneficial to experience suffering with as much wisdom as we can to crank up the juice on our practice.
I have a theory about that I haven't verified. Well, I did kind of talk it out with Lama Christie. At any point in time, he could have said, no, I'm not doing that because it's wrong.
Right.
And that might have been the short circuit. I believe that would have been the short circuit to his reaching enlightenment.
Yeah.
But they don't teach that, and I'm not sure why.
Right. Yes, Alex?
Just an understanding question. Is it correct to add a sentence here? So there is no misunderstanding in your world. That is not simply a perception forced upon us or upon me by my past karma and
Correct,
so on. There is no stopping this misunderstanding again.
right.
Is this what is
Yeah.
correct?
So Alex is pointing out that there's no misunderstanding my world that's not forced on me by my karma. Correct.
But I remember that the Geshe-la said one day that to put those words in the sutra is a contradiction, because it will mean that those words are self-existent.
Exactly.
Because to explain you that this is how it is means you are giving the power to those words to make you understand,
Exactly,
which is
exactly,
funny, but yeah.
right.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, so Lisa pointed out that to need to add the words, there's no misunderstanding my world that's not coming out of my seeds, is an indication that we don't get it yet. Because we believe by adding those words have some ability in them to clarify what Buddha meant by there's no misunderstanding my world, my suffering, and that is correct. And it actually is about the different levels of the different schools, right? The lower level of Prasangika believes that the words have some meaning in them that will clarify what the Buddha said. What the Buddha says, words have something in them. And it's all right, it's helpful,
Yeah, I am not,
not criticizing, right? But it's good to point out that at some level, we won't need that anymore. But you know, like, duh, we understand it better, you don't need to add the words.
It's not, I look at it this way, you're not adding the words to clarify to help Lord Buddha teach you.
Correct.
I'm adding the words to help me understand what Lord Buddha said, and I think there's a subtle difference there. It's not like I'm saying, well, Lord Buddha, you should have said this, and everybody would have understood it.
Right,
You're adding it so that you can understand.
right,
So
exactly,
I do the same thing, Alex.
right, it's good to do. It is good to do. Understanding that by doing so, not everybody's still gonna understand, right? If you've never heard the pen thing, adding those words would still be like, what the heck are you talking about? Coming from my side. Yeah, no. Good job, everybody. Thank you for the extra time. Let's dedicate. So remember that person we wanted to be able to help. We've learned a lot that we will use someday, sooner or later, to help them in that deep and ultimate way. And that's an extraordinary goodness. Who's it been coming from, after all? Good job, you. So be happy with yourself. And think of this goodness like a beautiful glowing gemstone that you can hold in your hands. Recall your own precious holy guide. See how happy they are with you. Feel your gratitude to them, your reliance upon them. Ask them to please stay close. Continue to guide you, help you, inspire you, and then offer them this gemstone of goodness. See them accept it and bless it. And then carry it with them right back into your heart. See them there, feel them there. Their love, their compassion, their wisdom. Your growing love, compassion, and wisdom. It feels so good. We want to keep it forever. And so we know to share it. By the power of the goodness that we've just done, may all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. So use those 3 long exhales, share this goodness with that one person. Share it with everyone you love. Share it with every existing being everywhere. See them all filled with happiness, filled with loving kindness. And may it be so. So thank you so much. Please go ahead, gather your things, go to yoga. Have fun.
When are we going on the trip?
Sunday at 11. Thank you online. Thank you online. Thank you, John.